This is Choose Your Own Talk. So I originally wrote this a couple of years ago when I got a keynote thrust upon me at very short notice and had no real idea what was going to happen. So, the normal bits, I'm Dave McKenzie, half the people in this room know me, 2 kids, geek, I'm old, currently Cybersecurity Operations Director at National Gas, which used to be National Grid and they sold it and it all got really complicated. But essentially, yeah, that's me. I've done IT support, incident response. I'm a vulnerability wrangler, not a major vuln, like somebody that sneaked into the room late. And do a couple of groups and stuff like that. And if you're interested in any of that, come and see me and I'm more than happy to chat about me outside of this. Right. When I originally did this one, whenever I do a talk, I always try and have a hook, like a trick, a fun thing, something that means that someone will remember me, the talk, and hopefully if I give you something entertaining, you might remember some of the serious stuff. Hopefully the stuff that keeps you sane later in life, that would be good. So when we did it originally, cowboy hat and everything, I went all out. There was an option in the talk that made everybody immediately shouted as, shoot Scott with the Nerf gun. And amazingly, it worked. That boy is so scared, it's unreal. I mean, like, I'm on the stage, it's like probably about like that distance to that chair. And I could see him trembling. The fear was there. And I was winding him up and everything because he went and he got ready. And I was like, no, put the safety glasses on, put the safety glasses on. Of course, just added to the fear all the way through. But you can't make it today, so we won't be shooting a cup of Scott's head, unfortunately, because that'd be fun. But I do promise that we will do something similar. But how this works. First, we need to pick the slides that we're going to talk about. Now, another funny story about a conference is that I like conferences. I like, the community and stuff like that. But we do have to pick how we get the slides. And there is somebody in the room that's really bitter about Pac-Man. Where is he? Oh, hiya, Mike. So, there is a thing. If we get it wrong, like, say if we get like a pink ghost or something like that, then the talks are not going to be that interesting, although some of them are mildly entertaining because I really went out with the jokes on the slide styles. So let's not go with that, because nobody wants 10 minutes of silence and Scott's not here to go on about ancient. I mean, Donan's here, so we can definitely do number 14. We'll come back round to that, Donan, don't worry. But all we need to do, which was number 10, Callum's not here, so no use. But, so what we're going to do is Mike's going to come down and give us a hand, because Mike's awesome. A round of applause for Mike, please. So, does anybody know the difference between social engineering and magic? No, I wouldn't go with that.
That would be
right. Nice. Although, depends how successful you are in the magic and probably in the social engineering. The difference is when you do magic, people are supposed to walk away feeling good. When you do social engineering, not so much. Right, Mike, we got kind of 5 piles. Pick 2 piles. Oof, right, okay. Now we're down to 3 piles. See? Math. Brilliant. I pick a pile. Right. You're not very fast at this, eh? Alright, come on. Pick another pile. Right, okay, so we're down to that. Pick a card. Pick another card. Oh, it's a Pac-Man. Bugger, didn't work. Oh, and completely cocked up the magic trick. That is really annoying. That's what I get. You did, you won. So that's on the plus side, if that's the only demo trick thing that goes wrong, awesome. Right, so let's go with the orange ghost. Right, so the way this works is, somebody shout out a number. We're not doing number 12 until like 2 or 3 in. Because otherwise, you know. Oh, fucking everybody does 7. Always the first one. So, it's always, like, it's every time I do this talk, number 7's the first one that everybody picks. Because essentially we're all ghouls. And the reason we're talking about the worst incident ever, if you think about it, what do you mean by worst? So you could go with how much money somebody lost, somebody lose their job, the company go under. It all comes down to impact. And one of the really disappointing things about impact is if you actually look at the impact of a company, what happens when a company releases this massive breach? The share price goes down for 10 minutes and then it pops back up again and it's business as usual.
So what's going to happen with LastPass after the system release?
LastPass is an interesting one. So, as one of the previous talks today went, like, all security vendors get hacked, and all of them are mostly still there. So what do you do about that? LastPass was a very targeted and interesting attack, in as much as the first one was a bog standard, in you get, and we got a bunch of encrypted stuff and that was useless. And then they went really, really, really targeted because they wanted to decrypt the stuff. And then it became a really, I mean, I'm not sure many organizations in the world could have prevented what happened to that senior dev. Because they came after him. Okay, right, so he was using Plex server. And then they may or may not have hacked Plex to get a crap version of it down onto him. Some people are speculating and stuff like that. But ultimately, it's that whole, I can use my personal laptop and then I got the keylogger on there. And then they got his master password for logging into LastPass. That's a lot of effort by people that were very, very determined to get in. And your next stage after that level of determination is walking up and sticking a gun to somebody's head and saying, type your password in here. At that point, you go, sure, not a problem. So, yeah, LastPass will, stock price will tank. In about 3 to 4 months' time, it'll be back where it was. Nah. Too big to go under. Well, they're not too big to go under. They're not quite that big, but I don't think none of the other ones have. They are in a slightly unique situation because they're one of the first kind of password managers to get it. But I mean, IE password manager, Chrome password manager used to get popped all the time. And people have now they've released better versions that are secure. Excellent. I still don't trust to save my password in my browser. In fact, we spent years teaching people not to do that and pleading with them not to do that. And now it looks like it actually might be one of the more safe places to keep it. You're like, right, okay.
Can I just say I feel validated for using Chrome password manager now?
No. Can we edit that out?
I knew it would get asked eventually, so why bother?
Yeah. Circling back to the topic, the worst incident ever for me was actually a review of an incident that I did for a law firm, stroke insurers, that was actually looking at how an incident was handled and exactly what happened. So I ended up interviewing a lot of people that were involved. And in that one, there was a break of process. You know, like anybody that was in Andy's one was the whole, you got people, process and technology sort of thing. The process broke because of COVID. And it was normally to change those bank details, we would do a phone call between that person, or we'd go to that person's desk or phone them. But since they'd all just gone home, nobody had any phones. Nobody had the ability to go to somebody's desk to confirm it, so the person just emailed them. And of course, when you're emailing the hacked email account, that's not a great check. That person lost their job, never actually got to talk to her. But the actual person whose email account was compromised was a lawyer. Lots of money went walking out the door, and he'd been off. When I spoke to him, he'd been out of work for 2 months with stress because he blamed himself. There was nothing he could do. I mean, he's like, business email compromise. It doesn't. I mean, it happens. There's no MFA, so it's not like he failed because he didn't turn around to the company and say, you must have MFA on my account. I mean, that's what we're here, and IT's there to do, is to confirm that these controls are in place. So it's not that guy's fault. But he was broken. And from that point on, it's always, every time I look at an incident, that always comes back to mind. So all the other ones and all the other crazy incidents and 2 a.m. and these sorts of things, they all just become Tuesday. It was the running joke that we used to do. But that one I always remember. I didn't even have to work in the incident. It was literally the fact that this poor person was so broken by it. And it wasn't his fault at all. He never, okayed any giant transfer of monies or changes or account details and stuff like that. And yet, that person, it's his email address. He thought he was going to lose his job and all these sorts of things. He's like, it's nothing to do with you. So the impact, for me, the impact that matters the most are the people that are involved. The users that because they're the ones that always feel that they've failed somehow, even though really in most cases we failed them, or IT's failed them, or the company's failed them. But they always take it the hardest, and they worry about whether they're going to be able to feed their kids next week and things like that. So financially, yes, money goes out the door, but insurance ends up giving you it back sometimes, depending on current cyber insurance things. Reputation, yeah, we all laugh at various things FortiGates and things like that, but people still buy them. So yeah, ultimately, the org stroke that doesn't matter, reputation doesn't matter, finance, unless you put the company out of business, that's a terrible thing, but most incidents don't do that. The actual people that are affected by it are the worst ones that come out of it. And they're the ones that nobody ever talks about. So if you are ever involved in an incident, make sure that the people you're talking to are right. We're quite good at making sure the other incident responders around us are good. If somebody isn't checking that you're still alive, need pizza, Coke, beer, time off, whatever, then change company. But to me, the biggest thing is nobody ever actually goes and makes sure that the victims are actually okay. Everybody thinks the org's got a problem. Oh my God, all the systems are down. We've been ransomwared. The person that received the email and clicked on it, they're the one that's sitting there going, well, all this chaos is happening. They're sitting in tears. So spare them a moment. So it takes you 2 minutes to say, hey, this wasn't your fault. And you might save them 2 months of mental anguish. Right. You have no idea how hard it is to animate like this in a nice loop in PowerPoint. You'd think it was easy, but no. Right. Give me a number.
10.
What number was that?
10.
10. Profit from fear and misery. So this has come up today as well, to be honest. I can go and click on it just because. It's been mentioned a couple of times in passing in a couple of talks today. A lot of what we do is telling people that bad stuff might happen, and if they don't do something, the bad stuff's going to happen. That sucks. If you're having to make your point by making someone fearful, you're not articulating it properly. If you're sitting saying, no, you will be hacked if you don't do this, it's not a great conversation. And you don't wander in and try and sell somebody the 3rd gen firewall, because otherwise, think of the children. As an industry, we suck at this. Mostly because we're trying to protect things. We're all defenders, so by definition, we're trying to stop bad things from happening. But see, as soon as you start making that your sales tactic, if you don't buy this, bad things are going to happen. Think of the children. That's not good. So security should be an enabler. It shouldn't necessarily be something that is necessarily a cost thing. You should be able to articulate your security concerns and say, and this allows us to help keep things up. Don't turn around and say, if you don't buy it, it's all going to go down. Because then you're just really dropping into that fear thing. And the problem is, you can only do that so many times from a purely selfish sales point of view. If you turn around and say, if you don't buy this, you're going to get hacked. They don't buy it and they don't get hacked. You're never going back to that person to sell them something, are you? And similarly, you can't go in every 6 months and say to the CEO, if you don't buy this, we're going to get hacked. He's like, yeah, but 6 months ago we bought the thing to stop us getting hacked. And he's like, yeah, but this is the new hackers and they've got new stuff. It's like, yeah, good luck on the 4th iteration of that, getting any money out of it. So, yeah, we are here to help people ultimately, unless you work for an MSSP, you lot just, you do not work in cyber. If the company you work for doing security makes plastic palm trees, I use plastic palm trees a lot, then you are in plastic palm trees. So everything you do should be about making plastic palm trees. So when you are talking to the rest of your business, so you're talking to people, you should be talking about this makes us better at making plastic palm trees. Hey, look, these systems are vulnerable. If that went down, that might affect our plastic palm tree creation. You don't have to sit and say, oh my God, you're all going to die. But you can turn around and say, look, there's some availability issues here. It's an operational risk. It's the same as if we didn't have fire alarms, we could have a problem. And the same as if we don't have 2 of them and one of them fails. These are the ways that you can talk to business. You don't have to drop into if you don't have one of these, the children will die. Also, plastic palm trees won't get made. So don't, if you find yourself ever doing pre-sales calls and heading down the dark path towards, like, pushing somebody by making something sound scary, you're not articulating stuff properly. You should refocus and go, this is about availability. This is about keeping things up. This is about making us more secure, more efficient, more resilient. Resilience is a great word to talk about it. Makes us more resilient. Not if we don't do it, we're going to die. It makes us more resilient. It means if we do have something bad happen over there, that we can handle it. Those are easy things to talk about, and it's not necessarily turning around and saying, if you don't do this, we're all going to die. Given my current job, sometimes there is, if we don't do this, we're all going to die. But, right. Oh. Interesting. Okay. Really should. 14. Are you sitting uncomfortably? Nice. It's a new one. I haven't done this one before. Incident response or digital forensics. Who has done or is doing a digital forensics degree, or it says forensics in their degree? Good news, you're going to be looking at what Jeannie in the office looks at on her lunch break, and you're going to wish you never had. In as much as I was talking to a colleague that works in digital forensics, and they said 50% of their workload came from HR asking them to investigate internal staff. So, there is I always talk about silos and don't be silos and try and make sure you're part of the team and stuff. There is just a little bit of a silo you should keep around it. Just be careful. You will end up coming across, whether it's doing SOC analysis, incident response, sometimes you will come across stuff on people's machines and you look at it and you go, it's not really the incident or the security problem I'm looking at, but they probably shouldn't be doing that on their work laptop during the day. Having a good process for that stuff is super important, because otherwise what you have is a SOC analyst who looks really confused and goes, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with this, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to tell anybody. Having been an MSSP in the past, come across it a few times where analysts will come to you and go, do we tell the customer that Genie in the office is a pervert? And you're like, is there an active security risk? Are they using Pornhub or are they using some dodgy Russian sites? No, they're using Pornhub. Brilliant. That's absolutely fine then. Don't worry about it. Ultimately, you can sit and say, hey, look, they're going to some inadvisable sites that we know you can get malware from. That's the closest you can get to reporting Genie in the office and our habits. Right, give me a number. 15. Oh, right, okay. Another new one, nice. You can now get ChatGPT to write incident response playbooks for you. See, that's the question, isn't it? You can also train ChatGPT and its brethren to do lots of really interesting things and respond. If you are determined enough and put enough responses into things, you can train it to give you the wrong answer, or an amusing answer. But as AI has been a laughing joke in cyber for 10 years, because AI is going to come along and solve all our problems. Machine learning does help, and if you can give it enough data to train on it on what is normal, there are uses there. But technology keeps moving, and what you do today as a SOC analyst might not be what you do in 5 years as a SOC analyst. Whatever you do, don't get stuck in your ways. Honestly, if there is a robot sitting at your desk when you go in and people like him better than you, that's fine, because it's a robot and it's cool. So just embrace the coolness that is the robot. But ultimately, you're going to have to keep learning new things. And if ChatGPT does give us fantastic incident response playbooks, then why not use it to do the initial part of the legwork and then check it afterwards? Because if it saves you 2 days, it's 2 days of your life you get back. Or 2 days that your employer can use you to do some other meaningless minion task. But, one of those. The technology will keep getting better and better. The need for cyber will not. You're not allowed to leave in the middle of my talk. Sit down. Was it the talk of Genie in the office? Okay. Someone's a way to scrub their laptop. Right. Technology will keep moving. Process and procedures have to keep moving. If you're investigating tickets exactly the same way you did 2 years ago, you're probably missing a trick. Somebody should have updated. Somebody should have performed it, especially if you're doing the same thing every single time. It's like, please, go and automate that. It's called enrichment. Just go and do it. It's easy. But ultimately, accept the fact that in the cyber industry, your job is going to change. Regardless of whether you get a new job title or not, technology will keep moving. You will need to keep on top of that said technology. And sometimes robots will come along and eat your snacks. But hopefully, that doesn't mean you're out of a job. It just means that you're the guy that's in charge of robots. And how cool a job title is that? Right. Come on, give me numbers. 13. Ooh, that was 13. So, Donan's going to be doing a talk on honeypots later. What? There is a serious point to this. I do like to mess with Donan. In fact, if you look at it, there's a ton of honeypot talks on today. In fact, guys, some thinks that I really need to go and grab and say hello to. But ultimately, we're all talking the same stuff. We're all trying to do the same things. If somebody takes your slides and verbatim says word for word what you said, that do we need a haven't? Okay. Yeah, that's a crap thing. But if you take somebody's idea and says, that inspired me and I go off and investigate and do my own thing. Even my honeypot talk at a conference that was affiliated with another university would probably not let, if I say it on stage, to burst into flames. I did one and that inspired Donan to want to go and do one on honeypots. And to be honest, the one that I did on honeypots was inspired by the fact that I saw another one which I really hated because the guy got it really wrong. It wasn't that anything he said was incorrect, he just didn't actually give people the proper point of like why you would want honeypots. And so it became hey, they're really, really cool. And at no point did he say, and this is why you want one. So that drove me slightly insane to the point where I went, next conference, I'm doing a talk that says why you want honeypots. Don't steal, be inspired. That works. I'll be looking at your talk. Thank you, because I like this one. I often get commented on by corporate executives that I may work in companies for, of you don't take things very seriously, or you always seem to be having a laugh or a bit of a joke, or why have you got Nerf gun? It literally is, if you try and take every single thing in your cyber career that seriously, it's going to break you. I know I've kind of been there at times. So ultimately, make sure that the people that you work with, you get on with. See if you're sitting in a team and you hate everybody. You probably need to move. Well, one, you need to look at yourself and go, how can everybody hate me? Can it be all of them being wrong? But there is hey, make sure that you're working with people that you know, that you trust, that you like, and just make sure that you don't get dragged down into here's another ticket, here's another incident, this is terrible, somebody stole this. Some of the worst incidents I've dealt with have been like children's cancer charity gets hacked. I mean, honestly? It's like, what kind of scum would do that? And let's face it, they don't even care. If they noticed it was a charity, then they go, hey, they've probably got crap IT and crap processes, so might get some stuff out of it. But ultimately, if you start taking that stuff that seriously all the time, you don't have some sort of release mechanism. Mine is picking on Donan. And sometimes Mike. But ultimately, yeah, you need to find an avenue to be able to deal with this stuff sensibly. Yes, go have a hobby that isn't cyber or isn't the same cyber that you do every day. But ultimately, make sure you've got people around you that you can laugh with, because otherwise you cry. And then you can't work anymore. And you have to go make plastic palm trees for a living. Oh, that took longer. Okay, number 12, which may require some assistance from the studio audience. So, it has been commented on. Hi, Donan. So, it may have been commented that was an easy shot. It wasn't, but even a blindfolded space Viking could have made that shot. Do we think a blindfolded space Viking could have made that shot? Or would you like to find out if a blindfolded space Viking can make that shot?
Science.
Donan? You want to come and shoot me? You don't think you're getting out of this easy, do you? Right. Put that on. There we go. No, sorry, I've got a hook on the back for it. So that. Do we want twinkly? Yeah, there we go. Some twinkly. Jer, could you? Jesus, man! What kind of Viking can't put their helmet on? Right, we'll get that. Yeah, we've got blindfold. Don't worry. In fact, if we can flick the wee switches on those things, so one on each side. It's not going to react, so he's going to have to go this side, unfortunately. No, I put them over the top of the plastic. Yeah. Actually. Now, obviously, Donan's going to need a bit of a help here. Yes. So. Right, so just so that you're aware of what's happening, look, see, gun has camera, so the kindly studio audience can help you aim. Alright, so, yeah, let's straighten there-ish. Right. Mildly terrifying noise. I was going to say, step backwards a wee bit. Right. Yeah. You're right, isn't it? You've got to be foldy thing. Right, so if Donan can get some guidance from people, that would be super useful. I'm trying to find my safety glasses because there's zero danger that I'm going to stand over there. Safety glasses. And what did... Oh, my cup's over there. Right, so it is reasonably... If people could aim it slightly up from... Right, Donan, straight ahead. Oh, for love of God. Really? Right, so give him a hand to aim it a little bit, Joe. God almighty, this is going to be painful. Right, Donan. Oh, that was close. You nearly got it. Oh, they both my gags have failed today. I mean, that came. Thank you, Donan. You can, if you want, you can keep the helmet. Oh, but yeah, it's a bit warm. No, it literally is. I mean, I put it on and went, Jesus, this is roasting. Yeah. Thank you, Donan. Round of applause for Donan, who has proven that I can't take a shot while somebody's aiming at me, which I kind of expected, and that blind space Vikings couldn't make a shot either. Excellent. Right, how are we doing for time? Awesome. We've still got loads of time to play with. So, right, come on, give us a number.
5.
Ooh, it's 5. Oh, right, okay. There's lots of focus on blue teams, red teams. Purple team is obviously blue and red. Does anybody know what incident response is? White or black sometimes. If you're an engineer, you're sometimes yellow, sometimes green. Education or ops is also orange and gold and green. It doesn't matter. Find what you want to do and go and do it. Some of the best blue team people I know wanted to be red team, and because they'd had that training, made them really effective at blue. Still went off to crayon munch, but that's fine. But ultimately, we're all in the industry to help make plastic palm trees or whatever it is our company's there. We're there to defend and do good. If you get a division, that gets siloed and then you don't have good comms and things get a bit squirrely. So don't really worry, especially right now if you're in uni or you've just finished uni and you're going, what do I want to do? Go and try stuff. Go ask people that, I mean, I'm blue team really because I've always done like defense. But, and I know plenty of people that have never done anything but pen testing. I know plenty of people that have never done anything but incident response. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. We're all there to do a job. We're all there to try and help our company or our community or whatever we're doing. We're all there trying to pull us all in the same way. If you end up having a fight in your company with the pen testers in front of the rest of the company, what does that do? It means that you have a fight and the rest of the company go, their children, we're not going to listen to anything they say. No, they don't get any budget. So it doesn't really matter. Purple team's quite interesting because as far as I'm concerned, purple team is that whole, well, your red team will emulate the bad guy and see if the blue team picks up. Is that not what a pen test is? Is that not like part of a pen testing scope anyway? So is that not red team with the SOC just picking up the alerts? And if you're going to have processes to continually do it, is that not continual testing of your SOC not really what the SOC should be doing anyway? So, fine, let's call us all purple. In fact, to be honest, let's mix it all up. We can all be brown. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. Find your niche. It doesn't matter what colour it is, and it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter really what the team's called. You find what makes you passionate in cyber or elsewhere, but then why are you here? And then do that. And find a way to make that make a difference and to find the other people that can fill in the gaps. If I'm going to be sitting doing pen testing, then I probably shouldn't be in charge of the SOC. Somebody else should be doing that sort of thing. So you make the team up and we all make a lovely rainbow and it's lovely. Right. Oofed. Your name's Elizabeth and oh, misclicked. Some of the best SOC analysts I have worked with, stroke trained, stroke hired, were not straight out of uni or on a degree or anything like that. There are people that changed mid-career. And that doesn't mean that you don't get good SOC analysts straight out of uni, but you need different people with different experiences to complement. If you're the only SOC analyst, fine, you're going to have to pick one. But ultimately, if all you can do is regurgitate what a lecturer told you last week, no, I need somebody that can do critical thinking and can look at things and understand and say, that doesn't feel right. And you get more of that from experience, whether it be technical life experience or whatever, yes. But also, you also need to have all that background and all the kind of, if you're not at uni learning the OSI model of networking, which I slept through I had a Mexican teacher that taught me networking. Couldn't understand the word he said. It was like, all the time I was sitting, I read the book, just passed. But ultimately, tenacity is probably that, and not accepting the fact that I've seen the same thing 5 times and I'm just going to do the same thing 5 times. So stepping outside and going, hey, this seems a bit repetitive. Why am I doing this? And to be able to turn around to the person next to you and say, I don't know. And equally, when the person next to you turns around and says, I don't know, to be able to help that person. So a good team player. Obviously, there's like a running joke in cyber that we're all looking for the 7 years experience in the technology that came out last year. Entry-level graduate, post, must have a CISP. All those jokes, they're all like, the mutually exclusive requirements on the job spec. I mean, how does that work? But ultimately, when I'm looking for SOC analysts, I have hired SOC analysts not on what they know technically, but on what kind of person they are. Whether I think they care, whether I think they'll give up at the first one, whether they're willing to accept the easy answer. I mean, I think one of the slides in one of the talks earlier said that 1 in 3 SOC analysts admitted to ignoring alerts. I'm going to hire the 2 out of the 3, please, because, but, I mean, ultimately, if you're getting so many alerts in a SOC that you are getting to the point where you're like, yeah, I've seen that before, I don't care. We failed you building the SOC more than you're failing us as a SOC analyst. But as a SOC analyst, I need you to stick your hand up and go, hey, hang on. We're getting the same flood of the same stuff over and over again, and the answer is always X, so why does it come in? So, tenacity, caring, those are the things that are the most important. Yes, you must understand a bit of technology, but a lot of the technical stuff I can teach you. And to be honest, a lot of the technical stuff is probably that you learned in uni might be out of date by the time you get to a SOC analyst job 5 years down the line. Because technology moves and changes, so the ability to want to learn, to pick up the next new thing, to not run away from a challenge, that's what makes a good SOC analyst. Something that gives a shit. So, which is why Elizabeth is the best SOC analyst in the world. Also, I really like people who can work numbers.
3.
Ooh. Oh, right, okay. This one. Does anybody know what the answer is before I click on it?
Not really.
It really depends. So bizarrely, you can look at any. So incident response tools, best one. Well, NCase, maybe. Maybe. It really depends on what you need to be doing. The best tool is you. Your brain, your tenacity, your caring. Bizarrely, communications tools. Anybody that disputes that communication tools are really important in cyber, explain to me Teams. Okay. I like lying, but in as much as I'm a fan of honeypots and deception technology, simply because I can put them in anywhere, and I get, once you get rid of your vuln scans and stuff hitting them, if they go off, it's a problem straight away. There's no, is it, maybe, do we need to investigate? You literally go, this is a problem, we need to go and immediately address it. So, a tool like that, for me, when I'm the blue team and I'm really worried about lots of alerts, I've got thousands of systems coming into me and logs and people doing crazy stuff and VPN and into Netflix. So in the US, they can watch something on Netflix that isn't in the UK and they do it on their corporate laptop. All that nonsense. You get lots of noise from security tools. But for me, when you stick in a canary or a honeypot or something like that and you configure it right, once you've got it in, it's like done. And you go, if that thing ever sings, you get out of your bed and you deal with it. So for me, that sort of high dependable tool is super useful for me as a blue team. But ultimately, yeah, like the comms, super important because if you can't communicate with people, then there's no point in you existing. So yeah, so it's the ones that you don't think, but yeah, my best cyber tool currently thinks canaries because I just love how simple and easy it is for me to deal with them. My most important tools are actually around communication, which makes you feel really dirty and sad about teams. But ultimately, every speciality, every colour, every person will have their own favourites for the job that they do day to day. What you want to do is find yourself a mentor that's really good at whatever you want to be in. And say, what do you use? Explain to me why you like it and then make up your own mind. Don't carbon copy. Go, what are you using? Why are you using it? Why do you like that better than the other stuff? So you can actually understand the ins and the outs of the tool and actually go, this makes sense. And, I didn't know it could do that, or I didn't know I'd ever need to worry about that scenario. But now that I know I need to worry about that scenario, yeah, that tool makes sense. So you can learn a lot from the day job by looking at the tools that the people are actually using. And if they go, I hate this, you need to convince somebody to get new tools. But yeah, so yeah, that's my favourite tool is you. Are we running out of numbers? Probably. Ooh. Oh, nice. So, doing stuff in the community, doing stuff like this talk, Discord servers, all these sorts of things, they are not just for going out and getting drunk. In fact, at a certain other university event, I may have gone up to a table of students and said, you're a bunch of idiots. They'll look at me really blankly. Some of them in this room? Possibly. Yeah. Oh, yay! Can you remember why I said you're an idiot? Yeah, fair enough. So I went up to them and said, you're a bunch of idiots because at the table next to you are a whole bunch of people that run cyber teams and, let's say there was you had an MSSP hiring manager there, an MSSP engineer, there was a uni staff. I mean, there was a whole bunch of people there that basically you're sitting on, hiya, you guys are sitting in the same drunken table that you sit in every single night when you should be studying or doing something proper. And yet the people that could hire you tomorrow are sitting at the next table looking at you going, And I don't mind that you're drunk. What I want you to do is come and talk to me and say, hey, what do you do? And so that's what you need to do. You need to get out into communities and then not just sit at the same table with the same people, but start and say, hey, who are you and what do you do? And ask and care. And then you never know, that person might give you your job at the end of your degree, at the next job or the next job after that. Ultimately, in communities, we can do lots of good. One of the easiest things for community to do is help people get into their careers and help them stay sane in their careers, which is also reasonably important. But yeah, you need to sit there and look and go, is there somebody in this room that I don't know who they are? And then go and find out who they are. Not right now, listen to the rest of the talk, but maybe do it afterwards. But ultimately, get out there, do good in communities, and you'll find that job opportunities come along. I have hired at least one person in this room purely from the fact that I met them through a community event, not because thing. And that was one. The rest of them are, no, yeah, you did. You met Bill at an event, but I was talking about me. This is about me. It's my talk. My talk. Do you want to come into the talk? This is now Elizabeth's talk, everyone. I'm going home. But yeah, make sure you look around and go, I don't know you. There was in fact, when I did this talk for the very first time, there was a bit about, making sure that you've got diversity and stuff like that in your workforce. And one of the guys at the end stood up and went, yeah, I made my own company and I have a real problem with diversity. I can completely understand because what I did is I made my company and then I hired all my mates to come and work with me and everything. But now we realize that, our company is made up of middle-aged white guys. And you're like, why are all your friends middle-aged white guys? Of course, you can't say that when you're standing in front of the guy because it was really no, he was a sponsor as well. So it's but it became it's a thing where you're sitting there going, if all your friends look and think exactly like you, nobody's ever going to tell you that you're wrong, and that's important in life. I've heard. But ultimately, yeah, make sure that people that don't think exactly the same way as you will bring you another context, another point of view. And sometimes that's the difference between the bad guy winning and the good guys losing. Four. Okay. I say, because I literally listened to myself talk about this on the ID Cyber webcast, like, the other day. In fact, 2 days ago. Funny incident response story, that leads to diversity, thinking, trusting, and a whole bunch of other weird and wonderful things. But ultimately, 2 weeks into the job, I'm working an incident, and it's a business email compromise. And it's not just one account, so you're immediately starting to worry about admins and stuff like that, going, right, it's like, but we've got loads of foreign logins. You speak to the client and say, do you have people working in Nigeria? They're like, no. All right, okay. And what about Russia, China, blah, blah? No, everybody's UK based. You're like, right, so what you're telling me is that anybody that logs in successfully outside of the UK is probably compromised. And I went, yeah. So, right, okay, that's a good place to start since we don't have much in the way of logs, but we've got that stuff, so let's go get that. And so we went through, and so we prioritized all the foreign logins and went, right, okay, that person's compromised, when did they get compromised, blah, 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 try and track it all the way back through. It was a very long and horrible incident, mostly because they didn't really have any good logging, and that's always the crap one when you get pulled into an incident and they go, hey, how did we get hacked? No idea. Your logs go back 15 minutes. So I can tell you it wasn't in the last 15 minutes. But while we're going through all these, I'm correlating names with people that we kind of know as VIPs and stuff like that of the company. And I come across the director's name. And you're like, oh, crap. So like, right, okay, let's put that person up to the top of the list to get a phone call, to get the whole, you've been breached, we need to have a wee talk about all your sent email and check all that sort of stuff and make sure that everything in your account is what you think it is, and is there anything sensitive you might have done, said, or whatever via Office 365. You know, this is an uncomfortable conversation. So the MD of the company actually made the phone call and said, hey, such and such, we're working on your incident. Unfortunately, your account's been breached because you've been logged in from outside the UK, which we told you, say, yeah, I've definitely not been outside the UK. Right, okay. This is not fun. And then I'm sitting looking at it going, this is a little bit weird. Because all my other nefarious logins are Nigeria's, China's, Russia's, Spain, which seemed to be a thing at the time. And this one was Ireland. I thought, it's outside the UK, officially. And he's definitely not been in Ireland. So it can be attributed to him. So he's been breached, hasn't he? Right. Doesn't feel right. So you go and look up the IP address. It was already done and we know which ISP owns it. And we look at it going, there's nothing there. Google the ISP and start looking at their news records, which for an ISP they didn't actually have that many, but okay. And it turns out, by looking at that, I then drop what I'm doing, run across to the phone call with this director and go, can you ask him what he drives? Which, of course, is a bit of a bizarre. I mean, I know you guys are still learning in uni and stuff like that, but normally there isn't a module that says, if the person drives this, they're going to get hacked. So I'm like this, and meanwhile the MD of the company's looking at me as if I've grown another head going, you've been here 2 weeks, so like your second incident you worked on us, and you're asking me to ask the director of this company what he drives. What? Yes, please. I was like, does he drive an Audi? And he's like, can I ask you, do you drive an Audi? He's like, yes, he's not been hacked. When you Google enough of the ISP, you find out like 2 years before they've been awarded the Audi Autopilot contract. And when you look up Autopilot, you go, oh, of course, that's the Wi-Fi in high-end Audis. So basically, every time you make a Wi-Fi connection to your car for the internet, it pops out in Ireland. And so he was quite legitimately driving his car around the UK. Meanwhile, all his traffic was coming out of Ireland. Which is an interesting way to turn and say, hey, you're not being hacked, it's because you drive an Audi that you've come up in my, right? But it's because it didn't feel right. Because all the other ones you could kind of see random times that were roughly local time zones, all these sorts of things. And you can see that they're all, you don't want to stereotype things, but generally stuff coming out of Russia, Nigeria, and China is not great. And let's face it, somebody might want to stand up and start shouting about IP geolocation and how inaccurate it is. But when you look at it, you go, hang on, this just doesn't feel right, and so you keep poking it. Which is why a robot's not going to come along and replace your job anytime soon, because just something that doesn't feel right in your water, it's not easy to code into robots yet, he says, hopefully. But ultimately, yeah. So, yeah, funny incident response story is that when you look at it and you just keep poking it and go, that doesn't feel right, keep poking it till you get an answer. Or you've run out of billable hours and then move on. Are we running out? Because we're running out of time anyway. So, how do I make IT like me? That's nice and that's nice, sure. Stop saying no to them. It's easy. When you say no to people a lot, they don't like you. And this goes for, it does this for IT support, it does it for, like, cyber as well. Security has a really bad reputation for saying, no, you can't do that. Because it's not secure. Thanks. Always ask, if somebody's asking you something really weird, like, hiya, can I make an any rule, or can I put this 3389 rule open to the internet, please? Rather than saying, no, you're an idiot, or I have had an analyst who's not here but became a SOC manager, so hey, feel free to figure that one out. Essentially standing on his chair saying, I can't believe they did this. And you're like, they did what? It's 3389 open to internet. It's like, that IT guy was just trying to make something work. They figured it might be something to do with the firewall, so he put an any rule in. It started working. The dev went, yeah, brilliant. And then meanwhile, the PA to the head of the company suddenly screams because the printer isn't working, so he had to run off and fix that. He never came back and fixed the any rule. That's an easy mistake to make. So don't go on a high horse and say, no, you're wrong, you're stupid. None of that. That doesn't get you anywhere. What you always want to do is, if somebody comes up to you and says, hey, we would quite like to implement this, and it's obviously ludicrous, turn and say, what are you trying to achieve? Because you might be able to help them, and then you get a reputation for being helpful. And believe it or not, when you've got a reputation for being helpful, people stop putting in shadow IT or trying to get round your security controls. Because they know that they can come to you and say, hey, we'd quite like to do this. It's maybe a wee bit off the wall. And you go, actually, there's no problem with that. That's fine. Or, hey, if we do it this way, it'll be fine. So, don't say no to people. Instead, ask what they're trying to achieve. The other top tip for a similar one is never mess with receptionists, janitors. It's just stupid. Just don't do it. And airline staff at gates. Don't mess up. And witness that at Birmingham Airport the other day. Did not go well for the person that was unhappy about the queue. Funny that, isn't it? So, yeah. Right. I think that is us essentially out of time, but we got through most of them, which is quite impressive. We didn't make the magic trick work. The nerf shot nearly worked, but not quite. But I didn't get shot in the face, so thanks, man. So that kind of just leads me to the end, which is keep asking questions. So if you have questions about anything that was on there, feel free to ask me or Elizabeth, because she knows better. Keep learning. Never let yourself stop. Always, and it doesn't have to be something technical. Just learn something new every day if you can. It's always a good thing to be. And apart from that, I am still on Twitter, although I'm not sure how long any of us will still be on Twitter. But you will be able to find me at davewm.com or at random conferences near you. Thank you very much.